Good afternoon, September 15th, 2021, Mary Conley. I've been thinking about a few new things. Theodore Bundy graduated from his high school in 65. At some point in there, he had a 1933 Plymouth Coupe, and then later he had a 1954 blue-green Volkswagen. That's really an antique there and unusual. They were even transferring him over, but they did live near SeaTac, so I guess they did bring him in. Anyway, he had a 1954 blue-green Volkswagen. I don't know what happened to them. 1966, there's some issue between his family and him over bicycle loss. This is my speculation. He must have lost a bicycle and got punished for it. And secondly, his mother may have said, well, you had a scholarship to Puget Sound. This one's not quite as good. You'll have to move in the dorm there. In order to get all this together, you're going to have to sell your car. You won't need a car if you're living at the dorm. He probably resented the fact that he wasn't going to have a car, and he probably needed to sell, I don't know which he had at the time, the 54 VW or the 33 Coupe, but he sold it to continue on with his education. So from sometime, let's say mid-66, until he purchased a car late in December of 72, after he graduated. So basically, we'll call it January 1st of 73. He had it for all of 73, all of 74, the tan 68 Volkswagen, and up until August of 68 when he sold it because they were coming up behind him, getting ready to do stuff to him. You know, they knew they were on to him in August when I think it was August 16th, 75 when he was arrested for suspicion of burglary and prowling or something. I guess we call it prowling. Anyway, and he ran two red lights, two stop signs and a red light. He went speeds that were not suburban speeds, even in a Volkswagen. You know, suburban speeds are 15 to 25, and he was going more than that anyway, I think. Anyway, so he had that vehicle for 2.5 years. Well, 2 years, 8 months. Now, he goes to San Francisco after his 68 and 69 journeys. I assume 68 and 69 journeys back east, to and from. He goes to San Francisco. His friend is glad to see him as a friend. She wasn't interested in starting. And she said, well, how did you get here? And he said, Hitchhike. So I've been thinking about that. And this is, he wrote a paper on Hitchhike and how dangerous it was. And Ann Rule told him, mark me against Hitchhike. It's too dangerous. I've written too many stories. But just think about this. He only had the car 2.5 years, 2 years, 8 months. And all that other time, from high school graduation of 65 until he was finally captured in Pensacola, the only car that was really the 54 VW, the 33 Coupe, and then the 68 VW. That was his cars. And a truck that he bought, it was on its last leg apparently, that he used to go over to Utah. It had enough to it to get him to Utah, whatever. How he got money for that, it was probably, I don't know how, was it registered? Weird, right? Anyway, did Ted Bundy hitchhike some? You know, and this would be a reverse d'entrée. Is that what it's called? Reverse entree or something? Because think about it. He could hitchhike to and from the East Coast. He didn't have a vehicle. What was he using? He may have borrowed friends, he may have stolen vehicles, but were there times that he hitchhiked? And then you would look at cases from 1967 or even 66 on till 73. So 1967 or so until 73, if he was hitchhiking, it could be a reverse entree or whatever. You know what I'm saying? He could have hitchhiked, and then you look for people that went missing with their vehicle, men and women, whoever picked him up. Once he was in there, can you imagine picking Ted Bundy up on the side of the road? Maybe women picked him up, mothers. Oh, there's a nice looking guy, let's pick him up. You know, you're in ski country, you pick him up and give him a ride, and then he pulls a knife or a weapon on you. I mean, did he hitchhike? That's a good question. He told his friend he hitchhiked. He hitchhiked to San Francisco from somewhere. All right, it's just a thought. Mary Conley on Ted Bundy hitchhiking. Thank you. And any missing cars from late 66 until December of 72. Were there people in cars that went missing and were never found, or the car was found and the person never was? All right, like that lady in Missoula, Montana. Sometimes the cars were recovered, but the people were never found. Too bad. All right, thank you. Maybe some of those fingerprints on them car stuff could still be looked at. All right, bye-bye.